Hey everyone, Chloe here, and welcome back to another Feminine School video, and welcome back to this feminine platform. And if you are new here, ladies and lurkers and ear hustlers, welcome. And for house cleaning purposes, be sure to like and share this video if you want more content like this. And please continue to share these videos to help further grow and spread the word of this feminine community. Now, today's long overdue Feminine School video is all about the very underestimated and the often undiscussed passive man. And this man is initially often considered by many assertive and driven and ambitious women as a man who can be easily managed and as a man who can be easily controlled and handled. But in reality, the passive man is grossly underestimated at his skill set of resentfully blaming women for everything underneath the sun. And as a sidebar, when it comes to single mothers, their natural instincts when it comes to boys are to protect, to cover, to baby, to coddle, and over nurture in ways that will often keep their sons infantilized, where there is not a healthy male presence around, which in turn will often set the stage for a man as an adult to lack the very critical masculine skills to compete in a masculine world that requires perseverance, discipline, and courage, as perseverance, discipline, and courage are the building blocks of masculine success. Now, there isn't a man alive, whether 5'1" or 6'4", who doesn't want status, stature, or success. But a passive man is often an unhealed man who can become frozen in time and will often become a man who will allow his victim mentality to rob him of everything. And one of the most common experiences that many modern women will experience in the dating and marriage marketplace is the chameleonic passive man, who initially is often mistaken as the nice guy, the fixer-upper project, the guy who just needs a little dusting off, or the misguided man who is just waiting for the quote-unquote right woman to come along to bring out the best in him. And the passive man is not to be confused with the reserved man, as there is a huge difference between the two. Ladies, a reserved man can be very successful in his manhood. In fact, most successful men are not loud at all, whereas the passive man will always struggle with finding his masculine footing or will struggle to find a successfully sustained pathway to masculine success. So, for clarity purposes, a passive man can be described in three basic ways. Number one, a man who lacks assertive masculinity or a strong masculine identity. These are the men who are poor communicators when it comes to telling you what is really on their minds. Number two, a passive man will often be a man who is uncomfortable with exercising authority, strategy, and or leadership, preferring to defer power over to other men or even other masculinas. Number three, a passive man can also be a man who has a weakened, muzzled, or a muted sense of masculinity. Basically, when it comes to push and shove, you don't get a strong sense that this man can protect you, and generally, their masculine presence is just shaky. Now, why is passiveness an issue in romantic relationships? Because over time, a woman will not respect, trust, feel safe, or admire a man who lacks a possessive sense of strength or a man who has a proven track record of weak follow through, which in essence is anti seductive to my passive men who are ear hustling. So, without further ado, here are 13 signs of a passive man that should make for great conversation in the comments section. Number 13, he will struggle or is uncomfortable with leadership. Again, the passive man is often very indecisive, is afraid of making mistakes, or is afraid of even making the smallest of decisions. Number 12, he tends to defer to the dogma and the thoughts and opinions of other men to a fault. And perhaps this does happen way too often because many grown men are both hungry and starving for father figures. So in the meantime, any clown with a mic will do. And in other words, he's either a mindset copycat, an echo chamber parrot, an Andrew Tate drone, or a follower to the bone. Number 11, in the workplace, he would generally avoid taking on leadership and management positions or roles that require handling a high degree of responsibility, often leaving him in the bottom of the financial totem pole. Ladies, men are supposed to grow in their careers if they are to compete with other men. Number 10, the passive men tend to have very poor boundaries with family members, most notably a meddling, entitled, corrosive, or a controlling mother or out-of-pocket sister-in-law. In marriage, the passive man will almost always choose his mother over his wife. Has this happened to you as a wife? Comment below. Number 9, a strong imbalance of feminine energy. Passive men will usually attach themselves to aggressive women because they do not want to make waves or to be perceived as a threat to anyone. So they allow their masculine girlfriends or wives to do their dirty work by proxy. Number 8, they will generally play it safe to a fault, and they are not risk takers. Ladies, success of any kind will always require a risk. And there is nothing absolutely more unattractive than a man who is full of ideas, but who doesn't know how to execute them or who isn't willing to take a risk. Number 7, passive men have the tendency to conceal their true feelings and emotions, instead preferring to act them out passive aggressively, hoping that you'll get the hint. However, what they want more than anything is a mind reader. Number 6, they tend to be disconnected from having a masculine center or presence, aka wimpiness, fussiness, crankiness, whiny crybaby energy, or lacking a sense of resolve, conviction, or purpose. Number 5, passive men tend to actively avoid confrontation and conflict due to their fear of rejection. These are the men who typically wait on women to chase and pursue them, but they often end up with women that they would never choose in the first place had they not been so afraid of going after the women that they actually want. Number 4, passive men have a very low threshold for rejection due to the fragility of their egos. This is especially true if they lacked positive male mentors and or role models who are super helpful in modeling both strength, resilience, and never giving up in the masculine divine. Without the spirit of resilience, passive men tend to take rejection deeply, personally, and often to the point of violence. Number 3, the Peter Pan syndrome. Passive men tend to sulk in frustration as opposed to taking action or problem solving because they have an unhealthy attachment to immaturity and or magical thinking. I did an entire video on the Peter Pan syndrome and their failure to launch, and it is one of my most watched videos. Number 2, and this is a very common one, the proverbial sob story. Everyone has one, and many are legit. Ladies, we all will experience loss, devastation, disappointment, heartbreak, abandonment, and betrayal. And when wounded, we all will want to receive kindness, a bit of grace, a tablespoon of sympathy, and to have our humanity recognized. But the dusty will always have a knack for weaponizing the god-awful things that have happened to them in exchange for your pity, in order to manipulate you into taking care of his needs at your own expense. All of a sudden, that cute little crush that you had on your man can turn into a nasty entanglement of demands, entitlement, and guilt tripping if you aren't careful. And number 1, the gift of gab is a real thing, and some men are so good at selling you their dreams in order to get you to emotionally, physically, and financially invest. Many passive men can be dream selling experts and can be so good at talking about what they plan on doing that they can literally hypnotize a woman into dreaming about the future that you two will have together. In the meantime, actionable steps are not being made. Your man has no realistic plan, and after a couple of years, you'll begin to notice his professional pattern of running in place. My very first ever boyfriend was a magical thinking expert, and although he was only 19, he had a very nasty habit of loving to sell his dreams to others, only to get pissed off when I stopped becoming a believer. Ladies, the truth of a man is always in his actions, and the facts are some men, including women, will forever be talkers but never doers. So that is all that I have to say on this for now. And to get this conversation started, have you ever dated a passive man? Perhaps your father or the men in your family are passive. And as always, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more Feminine School videos to come. And I will catch up with you ladies and lurkers and ear hustlers in the next one.